LSU with Carter is the power. LSU with Carter.
Let's go. Huh? 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 Uh, what do you think happened? I have no idea. But basically, LSU baseball, I have no idea how that series ended up happening to a team that looked as if they were going to roll away in game two. And then it just fell apart. And I wasn't able to watch game two. I was en route to go watch the LSU women's basketball team. We'll talk about them upcoming, but I have got to say this. All right, this is just my own personal feelings towards the series. And it ended up only being a small portion, but it kind of ended up being a big thing. Baseball shouldn't be played on turf fields. I'm sorry. It just shouldn't be. It's 2025. Kids are getting NIL. Texas has more money than 50 countries. They have enough money to have a grass field. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever that LSU baseball had to play on that trash field this weekend. And look, the outfield made a few mistakes, balls bouncing all different ways. But if you're not used to playing on that surface, it's going to happen from time to time. But that wasn't the reason that they lost the game. Obviously, a lot of you can break down the bullpen probably better than me, but that's not really what I want to talk about tonight. I'm not really panicking about LSU baseball. I do want to get into a bunch of positives, and it's all women's related. How about the LSU gymnastics team getting it done? I am so pumped up that they are the SEC champions yet again. I'm also pumped up that LSU softball played their hearts out versus the Georgia Bulldogs over the weekend, taking care of business. I know it got kind of ugly in that final game. We don't have to worry about that. And of course, LSU women's basketball. We will be doing a huge post game show tomorrow after Florida State. That game tips off at 5 p.m. So we will go live at the end of LSU versus Florida State tomorrow night, Monday night, 5 p.m. Central. I drove, made it just in time for the 9 p.m. tip off versus San Diego State. You really can't take anything away from that game because, well, it was a dumb game, right? It was a blowout from the tip off. And we saw this throughout women's basketball where it was just nasty blowout after blowout after blowout. And look, let's keep it a buck here. The LSU Tigers are in a very special position versus Florida State to go to yet another Sweet 16 under Kim Mulkey. And the fact that she is able to do this after losing so many great players is truly astonishing. So hopefully we can get to that level, but we'll break down Florida State a lot more after the game tomorrow night. I do want to talk about LSU football. That is the bedrock of this channel. And look, we're in a weird position with LSU football right now that they simply are picking up big time commitments. But look at you. I'm just like all of you right now. You don't know how you should feel about high school commitments during this day and age. I understand that there are so many of them that could give a rat, you know what, about LSU baseball commitments, say baseball, football commitments, and I totally understand that. But this is a situation where the high school recruits have more leverage than they've ever had before. And we've talked about this plenty of times. If you have an unlimited amount of recruiting slots to go around, and kids know that they don't have to worry about the limitations, and teams know they really don't have to worry about roster limitations outside of the overall roster, you're going to have a lot of flimsy commitments. But if you can get a commitment, you might as well take it. All right. And LSU was able to pick up not one, but two of them over the weekend. Okay. So the first that we'll talk about is the corner out of Alabama, Dylan Herter. Now, I've not watched Dylan Herter, but I will tell you, anytime you get a 6'1", 172 corner, we all know that the LSU defensive back room, in particular Corey Raymond, they like taller, longer corners, and 6'1" is actually really good size for a corner. That's the only thing I can tell you, other than the fact that LSU was able to get a commitment from him. But the guy I want to talk about is Jabari Mack, who, of course, LSU would love a commitment from anybody from Destrehan High School. We all know this history of Destrehan, most notably Ed Reed, who obviously didn't play at LSU, but the great Justin Jefferson, of course, was a Destrehan commitment. So, look, I am of the belief that Jamari Mack will sign with LSU because, well, he's from Louisiana, and where else do you want to play wide receiver other than LSU if you are from the state of Louisiana? And of course, look, Justin Jefferson went there. So I'm really excited about Jabari Mack. I've watched him. I actually have watched him some, and he does look the part. The top 10 wide receiver from right around the corner in Destrehan. So let's go. If you're from the parish, you know you ball. You know you can play. Huh? 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 So really excited about that. So once again, sorry for the microphone not working. We literally tested it like 12 times over, and then when you click live, it doesn't work. I don't understand it. But it was actually both microphones that weren't working. But that's okay. It was probably my fault because it is always my fault. But we are live from Kinder, Louisiana. We will be doing some shows from this setup. I really do like this setup. Lisi Dex Productions is the one that set it up. And I was actually the one that set up the microphones, but they have the lights. We got fancy cameras. I'm using this camera tonight for the live stream. But we have all these other fancy cameras. We're doing a bunch of extra video stuff and content that you guys are absolutely going to love. Okay. So there you go. We say hi to Todd. We say hi to Natalie. Natalie, what's good? Good to see you. Let's go to David. He's talking about the free throws. It's really good to see you. Todd wants to talk about Flau'jae Johnson and Anissa Morrow. And what have you done? Okay, good stuff. What have you done? But once again, sorry about the volume of the game. Now, I do want to bring up one important note about spring practice reports. You should not take too much away from them. And that's why I try to not get too deep into the weeds about spring practice reports. Look, if you're going up against these same players every single day at practice, there are going to be days where some players have good days and some players have bad days. And the problem is in the sport of football, when you're going up against another team, you're only going up against another team on that day. Whereas in spring practice, you're going up against players where some of the conditions can be very windy. Sometimes you're doing it indoors or outdoors or wherever. But I do want to share a few things from what I've been hearing at practice that have really stood out to me. And the first is DJ Chester. He has been, out of any player on LSU's roster, the guy that I was the most critical of last season. And I tried not to be, but it was an interesting dichotomy of when you would bring up that he was struggling last year at center, it wasn't as if you were criticizing DJ Chester. It was criticizing the center position as a whole. And the reason why that's important is because the center position is the single most important position on the offensive line. And the single most important thing you need to do as a center is snap the football accurately. The good thing is DJ Chester was very good at that very thing. He was really good at snapping the football accurately, which is harder to do now in the shotgun era. But he wasn't actually good at all the other things that come along with being a center, whether it's run game or pass game. But the truth is he has really taken a hold of this LSU center position until the last 24 to 48 hours, where there has been more Braylon Moore mixing in with the ones. And that's the guy that I think a lot of you want to be the center next year for LSU because, well, Braylon Moore is a center that is experienced. He played a full season last year for Virginia Tech, where he went up against really good defensive linemen in the ACC. Now, obviously, in a game like Miami, he went out early in that game with an injury, but overall, over the last 2 seasons, the year before he played left guard, you want him to be the center next year because, well, I don't think a lot of you would feel totally comfortable with DJ Chester being the center next year for LSU yet again. But you need to come to the realization that that very well could be the case. And I know that that doesn't comfort a lot of you. We've had plenty of you talk about the LSU center position, which has been frustrating since the Lloyd Cushenberry era. You had obviously Shanahan, and then of course you had 2 years of Charles Turner, who was solid, and then this past season it was tough. It was tough with DJ Chester. But the truth is, there's a real possibility he could be starting center next season. I still believe Braylon Moore will win this job, but I do like the fact that Chester has made it tough, and I do like the fact that LSU is open to the idea of him playing guard next year. Another thing that's been happening in front of this is obviously the rise of DJ Pickett. We've talked about him plenty, but Deshaun Spears and one very deep cut safety is Joel Rogers. We've not talked a whole lot about Rogers. This is a guy that was a freaking stud in high school where he played some Wildcat quarterback, and he also, on top of that, was a defensive back that LSU was really high on, and he didn't really do a whole lot last season. But some of that was because of a lack of opportunity. LSU gave all those safety reps to the experienced guys that proved time and time again weren't ready for that role. But I I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Joel Rogers with the guy that's not really played with him a lot this last season, but he's made a few plays in practice. I'll keep an eye out for him, and then I would also keep an eye out once again for Deshaun Spears. And another guy, obviously, is to me the number one transfer in this class outside of Mansour Delane is Jack Pyburn. He just continues to set the tone at pretty much every LSU practice. Obviously, there's other ends that have done really good things. Gabriel Relaford is definitely one of those guys. So I, I don't know. I really, really, really don't know with this LSU defensive end room how that rotation is going to look. Okay, so get to your super chats. We appreciate you, Jared. Thank you so much for your generosity. Okay. So let's go to Ellie Mom. Hey guys, I just joined the stream. So what is Carter talking about with LSU versus FSU? We are playing FSU tomorrow in college basketball. We're not playing Florida State in football again, even though that would be a welcome sight now. Not the past couple of years, obviously, but last year would have been very nice to have Florida State on schedule. Okay, let's go to John Sibley Butler. Sorry we couldn't hang out in Austin this weekend. So I was going to make obviously a last second trip to Austin to go to the baseball game on Friday. We decided against it because, well, life happened. So I decided to come to Baton Rouge, see some family, and I was going to the LSU San Diego State game last night. Okay, so look, I was going to save this for later, but since we're already on the topic, I this has not been, and this is a different story as far as LSU basketball is concerned. because this has to deal with all of college basketball. But the first round of the women's college basketball tournament has featured some of the most ridiculous blowouts in the history of college basketball. So Arkansas State went up to UConn. They lost by, I believe, 70. You had blowouts, and this isn't like just totally out of the realm of possibility because there have been other big blowouts like this. But LSU was a 3 seed going up against a 14 seed, and they were 26-point favorites, and they won by 50, basically. So I was at the game, I had a really good time at the got to take some photos with some of you that stopped to say hello. And someone took a photo and sent it to me this morning. And his name is, I'll get it here in a second. I wanted to shout him out here before I move on. I went to that and also went to a thing called the Touch a Truck rally yesterday. I thought that was really cool for a good cause. It was Dallas Curry. He took a photo at the game. I appreciate you coming to say hi. It was kind of weird though because I was just standing before the start of the second half, and I see a photo. I see a it was like a camera phone like right in my face, and I didn't know what was happening. And he was like, "Hey, can I take a selfie?" It was Dallas. I appreciate you, Dallas. But I was like, "Man, I don't know. I thought I was getting escorted out for some reason." Um, but Dallas, it was good to meet you, and also met a man named Phil, I believe it was his name, at the game, and appreciate you. I appreciate everyone. Met at the Touch a Truck. That's the name of it. I didn't know anything about it. I went with my best friend yesterday, but man, it was a lot of fun. The Touch a Truck thing. But I love that move. I would move back in a heartbeat in the 225. I might be moving here to Kinder. I love being in Kinder. Huh? 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 I never thought I'd be in Kinder eating fried gator, but we were earlier today. What was the name of it? Fostos. It was Fostos. It sounded Italian, but it's not. It was a great Cajun establishment. There's a Elvis signature, Fostos today. But um, I'll tell you more about some of the stuff we have going on down here. But I wanted to talk about everyone that decided to not go to the San Diego State game. I understand why so many people didn't go because I think a lot of people figured it was going to be a blowout because there had been so many blowouts in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And I was going into the game thinking it was going to be a blowout as well. 26.5-point favorites, and the game was at 9:15. All the tickets were $3. $3. You don't have LSU baseball to compete with tomorrow night. You don't have LSU softball to compete with. Gymnastics was going on at the same time. We know gymnastics is a huge following. But tomorrow night in the PMAC, it has got to be packed out. If you are on the fence about going to the game tomorrow, if I could stay an extra day and actually get a chance to go to the game, I would do it. I really would. But the upper bowl wasn't fully full. And once again, I shared all the reasons why it shouldn't have been. But tomorrow needs to be a sellout. It just needs to be. I don't think it's registered for a lot of fans how cool it is that the first round of an actual big tournament is on your home field. I think that's awesome. It brings in an element of college baseball and softball that I love so much, that the postseasons are played on home soil. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. And I just need every butt filled, every seat with an ass in it, a peach emoji in it tomorrow. We need it because obviously LSU's playing really well right now. They blew out the San Diego State team. I mean, tomorrow is going to be tight. I don't see a world where LSU just comes in and blows Florida State out because Florida State also looked good in their opening game as well. So I, I'll be honest. I am a little worried about tomorrow. There's a piece of me that is still worried. Is Flage really at a gazillion percent? She did get her 20 plus points last night. She looked good and had some amazing trip steals and pullaways. But you know, I am worried about tomorrow, which is why that home court advantage really matters. And it honestly really matters more in these NCAA tournament settings because for those that don't know, the NCAA tournament, if you're hosting an NCAA tournament game, you can't just be total homerism like your typical home court advantage with you have a DJ, you have all those different things, but it is right? You don't have fans sitting on the court. It's press row. The dynamics are slightly different, which is why if you're going to the game, especially if you're sitting lower, you've really got to bring that energy. You really got to make it a home court advantage. Now there is still a student section, there is still a band, but the NCAA, for the force that they are, they try to make it as balanced as they possibly can. So I really, really, really need everyone at that game tomorrow night because I do think the home court advantage could be the difference for LSU to go to yet another Sweet 16. So let me know if you're going to the game tomorrow, and I really want to go. I kind of talk myself into staying an extra day. We'll see what happens. Okay. Go to TJ. He says, when it's a toss-up, I'll always pick Kim Mulkey with their back up against the wall in March. Jared says he might be going to the Mississippi State game this weekend. So there you go. Now, coming up next, what should you, where were you on? What should you take away from the upcoming LSU spring game? Should there be anything you are looking forward to with the LSU spring game? I do think there is one minor thing that has not been discussed. We'll talk about that right after this.
Let's go! On a journey together with Zion Imaging, I want you to see this experience up close. And me as a wedding and event DJ, I watched how everybody had so much fun with Zion Imaging. And a big reason for their success is the team. Yes, Jaron Thomas and his family started this off as a passion project, and they have one simple goal in mind: taking your event to the next level. Whether it's a wedding, reunion, quinceañera, school, or corporate event, Zion Imaging is all about family-friendly fun. And I gotta show you on this tour the high-level technology that quickly sends your video session to your phone, whether it's iPhone or Android. Yes, it's the Zion Imaging 360 spin booth experience serving North Texas, North Louisiana, South Arkansas, Orlando, and more. Give us a call, 318-469-4265. Check us out on Facebook or book us at Zion Imaging, XYANimaging.com. Are you a die-hard LSU fan, and would you like to understand the complex game of football better? Well, sign up today for our PHL Patreon. This is his second touchdown. Counter G while you're pulling the guard. We dive deep on recruiting and the transfer portal at a level that you have never seen before. Film breakdowns from so many different angles, and my personal favorites, the analytics, baby. I like to get nerdy. We take a look at cutting-edge statistics that help all of us understand LSU football even better. And guess what? Every new sign-up gets a Joe Burrow card in the mail for free. But we got to save the best for last. Our private Discord community of LSU fans from around the globe. Sign up today. Patreon.com/LSU football and put your name on our wall of patrons. Special thanks to everybody who's on here. Let's freaking go.
All righty, we'll try this again. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you can hear me loud and clear. If you can't, I totally get it. I tested this a gazillion times because I'll be doing some stuff from the studio more often. Um, and if you can't hear me, that's perfectly fine as well. I'll just go back to the in-house audio. That's so weird. It's not working. You can listen to it right now. Yeah, it's insane. Okay, but I'll just hold this. It's fine, dude. That I've never in my life seen that. Huh? But you know, I the thing that's weird about the spring game, and Epic Shorty and I actually got a chance to sit at the game, and it's why I wanted to bring this up. Is I am not going. I was planning on going, but something did pop up that I have to attend on that day. But I I I I understand it's not going to be a game. I still think it's going to be worth it. All right. I still think it's going to be worth you going. And the reason why I feel that way is you should experience an LSU spring game if you've never experienced before, because next year it might not exist. All right. And the reason why that's important is because the spring game is the ultimate fan meritocracy thing that you could go to. And I don't know if meritocracy is the right word, but if you get to the gates at the earliest time possible, you can sit at the lowest position you possibly can in the cathedral of college football. Now, once again, it's a spring day game. It's not a night game. You're not going up against an actual opponent, even though that could change soon. Okay. The reason why, though, you should go is because it is the most intimate LSU football experience you can have. Right now, it is a little bit more laid back, and it's not actually going to be a game this year, but you should experience something that's free to go to. All right. So if you're on the fence, I've been asked quite a bit because we went to the spring game and it was a great time. We interviewed a guy that I won't bring up. It's part of the reason why we're here. We're doing some content strategy meetings here. But, I really, really, really do recommend you go. Now, it's not going to be the absolute most explosive football experience you're ever going to have. It's just not. All right. So I'm not trying to oversell it. But in a sport that has become increasingly more expensive, you should go. You should go. Okay. Another thing, as far as the game itself is concerned, how do the LSU defensive backs perform versus the LSU receivers? You're going to get practice clips that will be leaked out and released. And there was one from Braden Swinson that has been passed around quite a bit from DJ Pickett. It was about as flawless of a one-on-one defensive back rep you will see. I saw an LSU defensive back great who's played in Super Bowls versus Tom Brady. Jalen Collins, he tweeted out this clip and said, man, this is teach tape for how you defend a deep post versus a guy like Barian Brown, who is probably one of the more difficult receivers to guard versus that route because it's a route that requires mostly speed from the wide receiver position. Because it's going to be like a spring scrimmage and you're not going to be able to hit the quarterbacks, it is a good look at how the defensive backs could potentially be for LSU next season. What has happened the last couple of spring games? Well, the LSU secondary got absolutely mollywopped. Guess what's happened the past couple of seasons? The LSU secondary has gotten completely mollywopped. So it does beg to question, what should we make of the spring game that's not even a game? That is one position, though, I do think, and I really do believe, is one that does translate from a non-game situation to an actual game situation. It's kind of hard to judge a defensive end because you're not actually bringing the quarterback down. It's hard to judge a quarterback because, well, you can't actually sack them. It's hard to judge a linebacker because you're not going a gazillion miles per hour at that position either. But one-on-one receiver versus DB drills and just situations will tell you something. Not going to tell you everything, but it'll tell you something. All right. So here's what you're going to do. Because, I will be traveling tonight. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, we'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep it going. I know there's people that are, trickling in here. We are in Kinder, Kinder, Louisiana. I am set up at a remote location. I'm actually in the back of a swamp right now. Bobby Abear and I are about to get ready to do a show. I'm just kidding. Shout out to the Cajun Cannon. But no, meeting with Lacey Dex Productions, doing some production work. She was the one that cut the awesome intro for us. So make sure you hit them up for all your production needs. Lacey Dex Productions, making me look good. We have a bunch of like fancy schmancy cameras set up, but it wasn't for the live stream. It was for a few extra things that we're working on for this next football season. All right. I was able to watch some LSU baseball replays. I looked at some of the YouTube recaps. I wasn't able to watch the game today because I was traveling. And then, of course, I went to the women's games last night, so I wasn't able to watch that game. I was able to sit and watch the Friday night game. And obviously, LSU baseball went out there and looked like the best team in the country. I want to preach patience, as every LSU personality will tell you, in terms of how this weekend went. You didn't get swept. You're still 4-2 in conference play, so you still have a winning record. But this was my opening rant. Baseball shouldn't be played on turf. That wasn't the deciding factor. It was a factor, though, because the outfield, obviously, as a lot of you saw, had issues with playing, balls out there. Pause. But, the LSU bats are plenty good enough for this team. A lot of you feel some way about the pitching for LSU baseball. Obviously, Texas jumped out. The thing that you do pick up, and this is the most casual SEC college baseball take, is exactly what Chance is bringing up here. All right. Especially if you're on the road. If you let a game slip away on the road, a game that you should win, you're going to lose game 3. You're always going to lose the next game. If it's game 1, you're going to lose game 2. It's just how baseball works. I don't know why it works like that, but it's just how it works. If you waste opportunities, you automatically lose the next game. And obviously LSU had a lead. There's different players stepping up at different times for LSU baseball this weekend. Curriel still looks great. But once again, I wasn't able to sit and watch game 2 and game 3. I still think LSU baseball will go to Omaha this year. All right. I do want to talk a little bit about LSU softball. What a crazy game it was on Friday. There was a lot of crazy softball results. That Kentucky series was insane this weekend. But LSU softball, they do lose for the first time in forever. Look, I am still the king of the Betterina fan club, and I always will be. All right. But, Skipper brought up a few things as far as some inconsistencies. I highly recommend you join the PHL Discord. He is our softball expert in there. But it just doesn't matter. I mean, I just keep going back to the Florida State game. 5 p.m. Central tomorrow night. Make sure you go because, man, I don't know. Sometimes you play these games versus teams you should win against. Florida State's hungry. I'm telling you, I watched some of that first game, not in person, but just in passing, and they look good, the Seminoles. And there's something about Florida State I just don't like. I guess it's just some of the football taste in my mouth, maybe. But, you look at LSU softball this weekend, get blown out in 5 innings today. But LSU softball looks like the real deal. And as you could see in their game 2, they did not let that game slip away. The interesting game was that game 1, 5-3. But LSU softball, I mean, they're just They're just good. There's no other way around it. And this is going to be the Chance Babin matchup here versus UL Lafayette this weekend. Love to see it. What's up? Good to see you, Tony the Tiger. Jared says the pitching was garbage after day one. Got to throw strikes, baby. Got to throw strikes. This was an issue like going into the series. I know walks were an issue, and walks won't hurt you versus bad teams. But give Texas credit. Put the bat on the ball, made the LSU defense make a few mistakes out there. But now, that'll do it for me. Sorry, once again, for the audio stuff at the beginning. But guess what? We keep it moving, baby. Keep it moving. Let me know what you guys want to see, because we have a Patreon podcast that we're going to release tomorrow. And make sure you sign up, patreon.com/LSU football. We are giving away a autographed Jamar Chase jersey at the end of April. So make sure you check that out. Okay. Look, I am of the belief, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I am of the belief that we tend to overrate early SEC baseball and softball success because so much changes from a week-to-week basis, where I don't know. I still believe in LSU baseball and softball making a run this year. But look, tomorrow night, that's the night you want to be here on PHL. 5 p.m. Central, LSU versus Florida State. We will go live at the end of tomorrow night's game. And you better not give me the excuse, well, it's too late. You don't have this excuse now. I was tired of hearing that excuse. Why do we tip off a game at 9 p.m. Central? I get it. I was frustrated by that as well. But you have no excuses. Tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Central, we will be live after the game. It'll be roughly around 7:15 Central. Big shout out once again to our friends at Zion Imaging. And tomorrow night, got some good news for you. We're bringing in another PHL partner. We're able to work out a fun opportunity for a lot of you to join another partnership here with PHL. So really excited about that. Big thanks to Dex making us all look good tonight. And we'll talk to you soon. It is Power Hour LSU, baby. Boom! And tonight, we're doing fried gator. Let's go.